You're listening to the Uplevel Your Online Business Show, where wealth is empowering, purpose is crucial, and high vibes are non-negotiable. And now, here's your host, certified business coach and practical woo strategist, Sara J Loureiro.
Welcome back to another episode of the Uplevel Your Online Business Show with me, Sarah, certified business coach for coaches and service-based entrepreneurs who want to make more money online while truly creating a bigger impact in the world and creating more of a freedom-based life. So let's get right into this episode. It's going to be quick. It's going to be strategic. It's going to be talking all about group coaching programs and just group programs in general. So if you want a scalable business model and you've been thinking about doing group programs, or maybe you've launched a few before, but they haven't quite filled up for you, I'm going to walk you through everything that you need in order to make sure that you are very, very prepared to fill up your first or next group program. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is why group coaching programs or group programs in general are really effective and why you're going to want to look into that as a scalable business model. So here's the thing. When you're doing one-to-one, when you're doing done-for-you services where you're literally charging by the hour, there's only so many hours of work that you can do for your clients, right? And in specific, a lot of us feel like, okay, well, yeah, I could totally just, have my entire work week be 30 hours with clients. But no, you can't really do that. And if you've been in business for a while, you'll probably realize that usually most of us cap at the amount of appointments and the amount of client appointments that we can do at around, I would say around 4 to 5 appointments per day. Okay? So I'm capped around 4 to 5 coaching calls a day. If you're doing client work, there's also a specific cap on how many hours you can realistically do of high energy work. If you're a virtual assistant, a social media manager, website designer, all of those types of positions, copywriter, let's say, for example. And not to mention that you're not going to be working on your clients' work from Monday to Friday because you absolutely need to spend time doing your own business marketing as well, right? Because you're constantly wanting to get new clients in, especially if you're scaling. So you want at least between 1 and 2 days a week to work on your own business goals, right? So not just your client load, but your own business goals, which means that you're probably only going to have about 3 days a week where you're actively working for your clients. I would say 3 to 4 if you really want to work on Saturdays. Let's say, for example, you can bring in another day of work, but that to me isn't really a freedom-based lifestyle, and that's what I'm all about. So let's say here that realistically you have between 3 and 4 days that you are going to be working on your client load. So this is why it's so important to understand that out of those 3 to 4 days, let's say, for example, you have maybe 6 hours of work each one of those days. And the amount of clients that you can take on when you're working on an hourly basis is really limited in that sense, right? Because at that point, if we're talking about 3 days and 6 hours a day, we're looking at only 18 hours. Right, that you have of time. So either you're putting all of that into 18 clients, which is a lot of clients to be taking on at once, or what you can also do is put a whole bunch of those people into a group program or a passive income program where you're teaching the exact same methodology that you would have if you were taking on these people on a one-to-one basis. So this is the cornerstone of scaling online. This is like scaling online 101. You need a one-to-many model, right? Can no longer be just a one-to-one model. And once you put people in a one-to-many model, I personally just love doing this because one, I love the energy of groups. I think they're so phenomenal. I absolutely love seeing people come together and create friendships. So many of my previous group coaching clients have, they're still friends to this day after being in some of my programs like 4 or 5 years ago, which is so incredible to me. Not to mention that you feed off of each other's energies. And a really great benefit to you as a business owner is you get to choose the time that you're with them. So it's not a scheduled hour every week. You get to choose, let's say, for example, if you're going to be reviewing their work, you get to choose at exactly what time you're going to be reviewing their work, at exactly what time you're going to be going into the Facebook group. And so it's a lot easier for you to manage your time versus having all of those people be in weekly one-to-one calls. And as an example of this, I wanted to just kind of show you the power of how this works. So in 2020, I had my biggest year ever in business, and I was primarily working with one-to-one clients. And so what I did is I just kind of fully booked out my one-to-one client roster. I think I took like 8 to 9 clients on at a time. Of course, I was also involved in a few other group coaching programs. I launched a new group coaching program at the end of 2020. And in 2021, I had a really similar income to what I did in 2020. However, the difference was I was no longer taking on 8 to 9 one-to-one clients. I actually had 3 to 4 one-to-one clients at a time. And then the rest, the bulk of the income that came in from my business was in group coaching. So that also meant that freed up a good 4 hours minimum per week. I mean, and that's not even including all of the private support that I would give to my one-to-one clients. So I would say maybe 5 to 6 hours a week that freed up in terms of my own time where I was still making the same amount. So it's so profitable and so beneficial to have a group coaching program. And there's so many different types of group coaching programs as well. So I feel like I'm probably going to touch on that just to give a little bit of clarity around what type might be better for you. But this is the best way to scale your business. However, it's also really tricky because you want to make sure that you're positioning your group program well, and you want to make sure that you're creating the right structure, the right model, the right price point, and really thinking of the right person for it. Or else, and as I've seen in the past for myself and clients who just start working with me, it's actually really difficult to fill up group coaching programs the way that you want to, especially if you are not actively doing any lead generation in your business. So let's first start talking about the different types of group coaching, because I think that this is really, really important, and it's going to affect how you market your program and the price point that you market it at. One of the biggest things that people come to me with when they're thinking about joining my group program, and a specific complaint about group programs, is that the last group program that they were in didn't have any support and was also way too big. So there is a huge difference between being in a group program that has a maximum of 10 people and being in a group program that has 200 people. And you have probably been in some programs before where you're just kind of like sandwiched in with a whole bunch of other people. You are thinking that you're getting, like the methodology of this amazing 7-figure business owner. And it is, you are getting that methodology. But I think a big issue with a lot of those really, really big programs is that you're not getting the hands-on support from that one individual. And in fact, the bigger the individual is, the less time that they're going to have for you, and the more that they're going to bring on team members in order to fully support you. Now, this also comes into play with price point. So the higher the price point of the group coaching program, the more support the person technically in theory, should be getting. And when I do my group coaching programs, I always ask myself, well, what is the level of support that I would have loved to have in this program? And what is the level of support that is needed in order for the people in this program to experience the maximum amount of result? And so I usually kind of work my group coaching programs from there. And that's when I develop the price point. That's when I develop the amount of support. That's when I develop, what are the promises of this program as well, right? And if you want a scalable model where you're just going to place a whole bunch of people in, let's say, for example, a $500 program with no support, that's totally fine. And that can be your specific business goal. But if you want more of an intimate connection with each and every person who is in one of your group programs, as I do, then you're probably going to want to make it a lot more high touch, a lot more high ticket. And in that, just make that guarantee of, well, there's only going to be this specific amount of people in this program, and you're going to get full on support from me. Because I'm sure that you've also been in programs before where, there's like unlimited access in a Facebook group, but you're not actually asking the person in the Facebook group that you bought the program from. You're asking one of their team members, and their team members are answering all of the questions. And of course, when team members answer questions, it's just not the same as the person who was selling the program in the first place, right? Like the information gets diluted. It doesn't come from the same energy. And especially if you as a coach or you as a leader are not training your team effectively, the information it's just not going to come across in the same way. So acknowledging what type of experience you want your community to have in that program is so important. And you might want to make it really low cost to make it affordable for everyone, right? You might want to have a group program where you price it at $200, let's say, for example, just so you can get a whole bunch of people in it. It's really cost effective. But then at the same time, if that's the case, you want to think about your energy levels towards that group and how much support you're going to provide when each person is paying you $200. And that's only something that you can decide. And that's only something that you can decide from the specific price point that you have decided that you want to gauge yourself at. So once you start to understand what type of support you want to give your clients, if you want more of like a low cost, low support type program, or if you want more of a high cost, high support type program, it's time for you to package all of that and market it for the person who's looking for either or, right? So it's either the person who's looking for something really affordable and low price, or it's the person who's looking for something that's higher touch, high support. And I personally love having a combination of both in my business. So I both have the lower cost, lower support where I don't review any client work. I have a Facebook group for that specific program. And I have all of the modules for it. And then I also have my high touch group program, the Rapid Expansion Method, where I cap it at 10 people per session. I review all of the client work. They're basically like one-to-one clients without one-to-one coaching calls. And I absolutely love doing the Rapid Expansion Method in this way, just because I feel like I can fully support every single person in there and give them a lot of time and attention. And that's what they deserve. And I mean, like, that's also the price point that they pay at. And when they do pay that, they get direct access to me, which automatically increases their chances of success because it's not a diluted form or version of what I would say for a one-to-one client, because they're getting my exact same energy. So having that in mind, then you're going to want to figure out, well, how many people do I want in this group coaching program? What is the amount of people that would feel really, really good for me to have in this program at a time? What are my income goals? What are my quarterly goals? What are my monthly goals? And how often do I want to present this program? That's another big question. Do I want to launch it with a start and end date, or do I want this to be a rolling evergreen type program? And just really asking yourself, what do I want this to look like? So once you paint that picture of the entire program, you know exactly who it's for, you know exactly the structure, the pricing, how it's going to benefit them, how you can market it to them, how it's going to run, then you're ready for the promotional aspect of it, right? So just really bringing it out. And I think that one thing that a lot of people get wrong when they try to do group coaching programs is there's not enough of this planning and preparation inside of them. And there's not enough of the internal work going into it. And there's also not enough preparation on the other side, the strategic preparation of it, which is what I'm going to talk about in a second. But once you know all of these things and it's time for you to market it, you should really be thinking about marketing a new program at least 2 months before you present it to your audience. So at least 2 months before you present it to your audience. And I mean like working on your audience. So working on growing your audience with the right people, doing lead generation, whether that is for Facebook ads or some sort of organic lead generation, podcast collaborations, whatever it is that you do to focus on lead generation. You want to make sure that you have a nice pool of people who are really interested in your work and who are potentially ready to buy from you. Because if you don't have that, that's another rookie mistake for group programs, is when you don't have that, you go out and you launch this program and it could be so amazing. But if you don't have the right people in your community who are ready to buy it, no one's going to be buying that thing, right? So that is so crucial, is making sure that you have that audience and making sure that you're actively growing your audience to get to a point that when you do launch this program, that you already have some people who are thinking about working with you. And the last part of this really is filling up a group program is so different than booking one-to-one clients, because one-to-one clients understand that it's only them. You can book them at any point in time that you want. And once you book a one-to-one client, they just kind of go at things on their own. A group program needs people. It needs a group, which is technically, 3 or more, in order for them to fully thrive inside of the program. And so having all of this planning and preparation to make sure that you fill it is going to be really, really important. I've filled quite a few group coaching programs now, but I've also had programs where I haven't filled them. And sometimes it's great because sometimes it's a blessing in disguise to have, let's say, for example, 6 people inside a program rather than 10, because obviously you can give them a little bit more support than if you had 4 extra people in that program. So keep that in mind too, anytime that you don't get to quote unquote fill your programs. But always ask yourself, am I doing enough lead generation, right? So am I connecting with enough people and enough of the right people for this program? Am I doing am I really truly thinking about the package and how the package of the program is going to 100% fully serve this client? Do I have the right launch model for this program? That's another really huge thing. Having a launch model that feels really aligned to you, whether it's each program is going to have a start and end date, or it's just going to be something that's rolling, and understanding how to promote the program is going to make a huge difference between having no one sign up for your program and having 20 people sign up for your program. I've had over 20 people sign up for group coaching programs before. And let me tell you, it's been such an incredible experience. But it also only happened because I had been nurturing that audience. I had been growing that audience for months beforehand. And I put out an offer that they just absolutely loved because I was listening to them. I was listening to them in all of my chats with them. I was listening to them in every time that someone responded to an email. I was listening to them in every time that one of my clients gave me an intake form. And so really making sure that you are listening to your people and putting the effort in even before you plan the program, even before you launch the program, can go so far. And there you have it. So I've been running group coaching programs since I think 2016. I'm going to have to go back into my brain here because it's so long ago now, which is so nuts to me. But I can honestly say that it's one of the most rewarding experiences that I've ever been able to do, is to fill up group coaching programs, watching people create amazing transformations in them. And then, of course, having that help me really scale my business, scale my income, while still being able to spend a lot of time with my family. So let me know if you have any questions about this episode. You can always reach me on Instagram. It's at Sara without an H, J Loureiro. Let me know how you like this episode. And if you are enjoying the podcast, I'd love if you subscribed, write a review, and share the episode with someone who you know needs to hear it. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll catch you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Uplevel Your Online Business Show. If you enjoy our show and would like the show notes and free goodies about how to grow your online coaching business, head over to sarajloureiro.com for more information. We hope you'll tune in next time.